Lucky Lefty Podcast. What's good? If I look weird, it's because your boy has his left leg up on a chair, icing his ankle. This comes with getting old, I guess. I have no clue how my ankle got sprained. Honora Boys, we're brought to you by Honora Whiskey. OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey. OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure you do so responsibly. Left is actually
Responsibly.
there. He is. How is it, man? Did they take care of you once you got to where you need to go?
I'm still taking care of it, man. Just moving a little behind, but we will be on time, right on time.
It's all good, man. Get to talk this morning, real short. Left once again, San Diego State, Colorado State, CBS Sports Network. He's on the call this weekend. And I just want to get your thoughts real quick on certain things. Jack Swarbrick in the new CFP expansion. Jack Swarbrick was on Wake Up the Echoes and said Notre Dame would not be taking advantage of the option that was given to Northern teams to move their playoff games to indoor options depending upon the weather. Jack Swarbrick was like, "Oh, we'll never do that."
Mm.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think if it comes down to how I think where if we don't join a conference, we become an automatic first game, because that would put us like at the highest fifth, let's say fifth. We would have to host a first round game, and the advantage of doing that is because of the weather during that time, where it can play to an advantage similar to what we think the advantage it plays to USC. Hopefully we would get a team like that in the first round, but obviously the weather conditions, it keeps to the tradition of what Notre Dame uh, tries to stick to. And I think that the grass was the line that was crossed
Mm.
where we went to turf, and that was probably the last thing outside of the upgrade to parts of the stadium. But I don't think they would make the total change to just be as trendy as the other schools, because we just find a way to be a little different.
I spoke on it a little bit on Wednesday, and my whole point was for me, it depends upon how serious the weather is, and it also depends on what's the strength of my team. Because if it's late December and it's a 30-mile-per-hour wind, and I got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson, yeah, let's take this game to Indianapolis indoors by all means. So I wouldn't be so stuck. And the chances of that happening where the weather is so bad that it would really prohibit the product on the field is probably like a 5% chance. But for me, I'm like, yo, if my coach and my players come to me as an AD and say, yo, we would prefer you move this to a indoor stadium, I would listen as the athletic director.
I mean, we've played pretty much at all indoor facilities when we've done the Shamrock game. We've played in the San Antonio Stadium. I think that's UTSA Stadium before. We
Hmm.
played in Dallas. We played in, Glendale before. We played just about every uh, every stadium you could imagine outside of just Notre Dame Stadium. So I really don't think, other than us just being difficult, why we wouldn't want to do it. But I do also think that it's a benefit. Uh, Once again, Jack Swarbrick's in the room making those decisions. It's not something that is being trickled down effect as being a part of a conference where we're just like Rutgers catching the flack or whatever the commissioner decides. So it does gives us a good option to choose, and I think The advantages are there, but I'm sure there's something that Jack has as to why that may be a little deeper than we know.
Yeah, it was one of the other things he said is that he's still as confident in Marcus Freeman as the day he hired him when it comes to Marcus Freeman being able to bring a national championship to Chicago. I mean, not Chicago, to South Bend. Do you think he's being honest when he says that? Or,
Well, I think he's happy that of course he should be happy with Marcus Freeman's progress because of the fact that he's shaped it in a way where in a lot of situations he's responsible for the good and bad of Marcus Freeman's success because his hand is so fervently in the back of this program. So he should feel proud of whatever he has a part of putting his involvement in. I think if he hired Marcus Freeman and took a step back and let him do his thing, I think he would probably have a different answer. But because he's involved in it, he's only halfway congratulating Marcus Freeman and congratulating himself on what he's been able to do alongside, uh, in his probably view, guiding Marcus Freeman into becoming a head coach the right way, good stewardship, that whole thing.
Lucky Lefty podcast, we're talking about Jack Swarbrick, his comments on the Wake Up the Echoes. I don't know if it's a podcast, it's really a show right there on the Notre Dame YouTube page. Moving forward, the format, because of dissolution of the Pac 12, is no longer six conference winners with six at large bids for the expansion of the CFP. Now it is 5-7, five automatic bids, seven at large bids. The current TV deal, the CFP, is in year 10 of a 12-year contract with ESPN. The network televises both semifinals and the national championship game. That package is like 460 million annually for those rights. Um, so now you have to start looking at the new package that's coming. What network is probably going to be bidding besides ESPN? And over the last 2 months, uh, all of the networks, whether it's the major networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, which is ESPN, even Amazon and other streaming services have been bidding, along with Fox as well. So, and watch Turner Sports in this bidding war as well. They expect that it could be and should be over $1 billion, this next deal for the expansion, which is actually bananas. That's $1 billion, but I guess you are talking about 12 teams instead of three games.
And would those bowl games be, those stages like the Rose Bowl is like the Final Four, and then the Cotton Bowl will be a Final Four bowl game kind of thing, and then Tax Layer
Well,
Popeyes Chicken Bowl will be
no, I
the
think
first round.
the initial games are home games. Remember?
Oh, okay. So they
Yeah,
they treat it like a girls basketball.
yeah. The
Okay.
initial games are home games, and then from there, you'll go to destinations and
Oh, okay. So it only eight. It'll be eight or no.
five
It,
five conference winners, seven at large bids, and then
okay.
I
So then who
believe
would be?
the
So the
fifth.
conference games would be the first round, the championship game.
No, there will be one conference winner that won't get a bye. Only the top four teams get a bye.
Right.
The fifth team and the rest of the at large teams make up the first round. So there will be four games for those eight teams. And then the four teams that make it from that first round will end up taking on the top four seeds in the next round.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So this contract, man, is going to be very interesting. I think Turner Sports and I think Amazon Prime are somehow, some way, this might upset college football fans, but don't be surprised if there's a day that you have to pay to watch these games.
The playoff games.
Yeah, don't be
Now,
mad if in the
are
future.
you saying paying through like you got to get Peacock or you got to get Amazon Prime, or you mean like pay-per-view paying
No,
for it?
not even subscription based. I'm talking about, I'll give you an example. You used to be able to do the league pass.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know,
League Pass. You
NBA,
can't. They
NBA league
block it. They
pass.
they have blackout games on League Pass. How do
You
you even
used to
do
be
that?
able to buy individual games initially.
Oh, okay.
It
Okay.
wasn't a package that you had to buy. It was like you could buy the package or you could buy individual games,
Got it. Okay.
right? I think it used to be the same way for like the college football package they used to have. But then they just changed everything to all or nothing. But now, if Amazon's in it, Amazon already has, um, they're in it with the boxing. They're probably going to get the boxing moving from HBO or Showtime. Then they have the NFL games, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, but
in,
shout out to
in
your
the
Bears
future,
now, by the way.
that's right. Solidified that number 1 pick last night. I
Wait,
told
how you
y'all,
guys won?
yeah, which means the Panthers have the
Oh,
number 1 pick.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Absolutely. 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 Absolutely.
Okay.
So it is, see, this is once you put, I see someone's comments about once you sell your game, the Big Ten network owns how the Big Ten championship game goes. They leased it to Fox. They have no control over what Fox does with that property. Fox can broadcast, sell the game however they want to sell it. Why? Because they're paying for the leasing rights. So they can do whatever they want to do with that property. They're paying for it. Now, if I'm paying billions of dollars for this expanded playoff, you don't get the right to tell me how I broadcast it and how I sell it. If I choose to monetize it, to deal with the cost of production, talent, and everything that goes into it, that's my right. People didn't think people didn't think the NFL would ever be on Amazon Prime, where you had to pay a subscription to watch an NFL game on Thursdays. But here we are. So as crazy as it sounds, oh, they would never, make you pay for a college football game. All right. Okay, you never thought you would pay $100 for a boxing match either. But here we are. This is business, man. This is business. And this is how these new revenue streams, that's how they're looking at things.
Yeah, it's all about those revenue streams, and it's crazy the way TV is shaping because it's also affecting how sports is being watched. I'm telling you, the most dramatic thing that happened this year in sports and the television networks is when Spectrum cut off ESPN. And when Spectrum cut off ESPN, you talking about it's hard to watch any game, in my opinion, outside of these whack Chargers and Ram games every week. You know, we don't even get the same ESPN classics and stuff that we're used to. So
So
it's definitely taking a hit.
that's usually like your afternoon game on CBS or Fox, like the Rams or the Chargers.
Yeah, it's crazy because first of all, I guess that's just the regional thing, but nobody want to watch these Rams play anymore. Like, come on,
Yeah,
Aaron Donald doesn't even play well right now.
yeah. It is, you know, and I don't think it's going to happen at the beginning, but in the future, as this thing becomes more prevalent, it becomes a little bit sexier. Hey, right? Like people got mad. You used to be able to wake up and watch CBS, and they would just pop back in and back out to games the first weekend of March Madness. And you could see every game on CBS. Well, if you don't have cable or streaming service, CBS is giving you one game
One game.
until that game is done, and then they'll
But
give you the next game, right? They used to jump
yeah,
and
you
give
can
you
barely
every
watch
game,
my game. You got to.
right? Right. So we never thought that would happen. And people pushed back when that happened. You needed cable to be able to watch the championship game. Heck, you need cable to watch the national championship game. Um, you might need cable to watch the national championship game in college football moving forward. This is this is what it is. The cool thing I would say about Amazon Prime is that they allow the local channels of the local teams to broadcast the game on a local station. So
Yeah,
it was on
yeah.
local TV in Chicago last night, and that was
Okay,
good
even though
for
it's
that's good.
hoisted on
Yeah.
Amazon, they're finding ways. I mean, at this point, it's coming down to Notre Dame using those resources to
Hmm.
build its own app where people can just watch their games for free every Saturday. They have enough money. People that pay subscriptions, I believe, if it was downloading an app, make it easy, make it Notre Dame Network, build out the media space at Notre Dame, because when it comes to what is going to raise money for the school, the media content space is probably number one outside of, calling for donations. I think these media can be used very well at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has enough stories and reruns with Rudy to fill in a network requirement. And then
Hmm.
you add the seasonal games, this, that, and the third. I think we can create our own little, or carve out our own space. I think for Notre Dame to make its own money, like just how the Texas network is. I think ours will be bigger, and the different things that we can highlight and do with it. I think it adds to the Notre Dame brand at the end.
I actually, instead of watching the Bears last night, left, I was watching Iowa versus Virginia Tech women's basketball.
Really, women's basketball is beating men's basketball now.
Hey,
From
Caitlin Clark put on a show.
That's for Iowa.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
bro.
nice. She's like shooting from like Steph Curry
She
range.
she dropped a quick, easy 44 last night.
She looked just like Sabrina Ionescu. I thought those were two of the same players. Like maybe it's they.
Bro, so they had the first defender on her. After like 6 minutes, she was on the bench for 2 fouls. They put the next girl on her. She went to the bench with 2 fouls with like 8 minutes left in the first half. And then the third person, this is before halftime, had 2 fouls. And it was just like,
She's drawing fouls like D Wade.
see, they play what you call 4 out, where they literally have 4 people around the 3-point line. So they create so much space in their offense left, and she moves like Steph. She literally is the female Steph Curry. She moves so well off the ball and has so much range, and there's really nothing you can do.
I mean, she's knocking shots down too. It's not a feast or famine with that girl. She's hitting things from wherever. It's like the shots that you were like, oh, we'll give it to her.
Yeah,
No, she'll make you pay. You let her keep shooting those.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So left
How hard is that for Shrewsbury to find in college basketball? By the way,
to find what players.
just a pure knockdown, just a shooter. I feel like that's what Notre Dame's specialty is. We got big men and shooters. And then you sprinkle in your generationally talented point guards that are, 6 foot or 6 foot and under here
I
and
mean,
there. But
finding
other than that, we got
he was able to find shooters at Penn State. So I'm willing to bet that he can find some shooters to come play basketball at Notre Dame.
Penn State, Penn State that unknown as a basketball
I mean,
program.
Penn State's basketball program is not, you know,
It's not Illinois.
yes, no. If he can get basketball players that can shoot to Penn State, I feel pretty confident he can get some shooters to South Bend. Because if to be honest, the one advantage for Notre Dame basketball is that Notre
We're in
Dame
the ACC.
no. Notre Dame football does not have a home base when it comes to recruiting.
Right. Right.
Indiana basketball is huge.
Is it huge for Notre Dame though?
No, I'm just saying it's talent there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because we got
You know what I'm saying?
Chicago. Michigan's pretty good basketball wise.
Just your home state produces really good basketball players on an annual basis. Notre Dame can't say that from a football standpoint. Like you have a few, you get a Jalen Smith every now and then.
Him being from Fort Wayne is like, that's like how do you do that? How'd you get there? That's not where you're supposed to be. It's an anomaly.
It is one of those things where you just recognize that he has the opportunity. And look, Marcus Burton, South Bend kid, dropping 28 the other night as a freshman.
But basketball different because you can be from anywhere and they hoop everywhere.
Yeah, but Notre Dame is what? Skyler, local. Chris Thomas, local. Marcus Burton, local. Your boy
But they
Jaden
share that
Ivey.
they toe that
Not
line with
Jaden Ivey,
Chicago.
but what's the other kid that's in the pros for the Spurs that just left Notre Dame 2
Blake
years
Wesley.
ago? Blake Wesley. So you can find talent in Indiana.
Oh, is he still with the Spurs? Or he probably with the G League and overseas and
No,
stuff
he's
like
on.
that.
Yeah, he's with the Spurs.
Okay, because I mean they got Wemby and Wemby doing everything.
So it's one of those things, Left. It's just one of those things, man. He's a good coach. He's a good coach. If you can build a winner, that dude was one game away from going to the Final Four last year.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? He can made it to the Sweet 16. Yo,
What do you get?
he has a pretty good track record. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Congratulations to the 2025 Notre Dame recruiting class as they got another commitment this morning from inside linebacker Dominic Bullock from the Chicago area.
Chicago, stand up.
He is a 3-star, but I can tell you now, I've talked to several people locally. He is vastly underrated as a player.
Come on, it's social media. It's 2023. I don't know about being vastly underrated anymore. Or what makes him vastly underrated, I guess.
Well, we're talking about a kid who's most of the film that's seen on him is a sophomore. But yet and still, he was able to get scholarship offers from pretty much every Big Ten team, including Michigan. And the jump you see, everybody that plays him that I've talked to is like, dude, that film and who he is when you actually play against him, it's totally different.
See, that doesn't alarm you though, because if you get the general consensus like that, these scouts who I don't think know much anyway,
No,
they
no, no.
would
I
they
didn't
would
say scouts. I didn't say scouts. I said coaches that actually play against the kid. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're dominating games, and he's not in the weak conference, he's in the suburbs where all the good teams are. When you're dominating games as a sophomore from the linebacker position,
didn't. Why is he not? But how the stars not correlating?
dude,
That's the
look,
question. Is it
I
less?
have I have no clue. I don't know. Do you don't start going to camps until you're like a junior, right?
Shoot, nowadays you.
I don't know. I know junior years with camps really become important for kids, like that summer before their junior year. So, you know, it's interesting. It's just interesting. But like I said, if you watch his sophomore film, you shake your head and you say, okay, he's definitely a power five linebacker. That's not the question. That's not the question. Like I said, yeah, offers from Illinois. I thought he was gonna go to Illinois. I'm gonna be honest. And then recently, I think in a couple of stories, um, what did he say? He just woke up and just knew. He woke up and knew. So, hey, man, you never know. It goes back to what Bruce Feldman said in that story too about the transition on the defensive side. From being a 4 or 5 star and then being an all-pro player in the NFL. Defensive side, it lines up more. Offensive side, that's where you see a lot more 2 stars, 3 stars that go under the radar that end up being all pros in the NFL because on the offensive side of the ball, those positions are a little bit more about skill and less about just physical talent and physical play.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, he's going into he's a 25 kid. He has a whole nother summer. Cam Williams was a 3 star when when he went to the Irish invasion left.
Yeah, but it's crazy that they do that, but then but how do they decide when to drop the stars? You get a guy that's a 5 star like Keon, he commits to us, and now he's a 4 star soon after. I don't know how that happens either. So it's an interesting dynamic to how you pick and choose these guys at their rating. That's why I'm like, well, what's the thing about this kid then? What's the thing that's not giving him the 5 stars when, I'm sure he has a similar evaluation to our guy that we got that was 3 stars last year, and Ben, the safety.
Yeah, it is. Look, we can count the number of 4 stars over the last 2 or 3 years that end up having to transfer out of Alabama, Georgia to lesser schools just to get play time. Like it happens all the time where highly rated kids don't pop at the schools they committed to, and they either don't make the NFL. So, like when you come to these star ratings, that's why it's about film evaluation, left, right?
Right.
Um, Kyle Hamilton was a 3 star initially when he committed to Notre Dame. Think about that. Nobody expected Kyle Hamilton two games into his freshman year to become a starter. No one expected that, right? Like I said, Cam Williams was a 3 star going into the Irish invasion. Now it's a 4 star. I think he's a 5 star easily, and he committed before his junior season. So when you have kids committing like before their junior season, you have to realize they still have 2 full years to develop. So you're looking at it like, oh, it's a 3-star. Yeah, this kid, you don't know who he's going to become in the next 2 years or the next year and a half. Physically, speed, all of that, right? And so when you see people dominate games, you know, and some of the best conference play in the state of Illinois, I watched a kid that's at Michigan right now. I forget his name. He went to a Loyola Academy. He loved Notre Dame, but Notre Dame pretty much was like, nah. And he was like a 3-star.
Yeah.
But he goes to Mike Elston in Michigan, and the kid's in the rotation.
Yeah.
Playing. So who am I to say he's not going to end up an NFL player or being a really good college player? Because it's not up to me. And see, that is, when people try to look at stars and be like, oh, he's a MAC player or he's this player. Dude, you don't have control. You know how many MAC players make it to the NFL?
Yeah,
Heck, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? MAC receivers I would much rather have on the Notre Dame roster right now. It's like, man, I don't, Carson Hobbs, 3-star, but Mike Mickens vouches for him. That's all I need to hear. Mike Mickens identified him, and I've had people say, yeah, his film doesn't impress me. That's fine. It impresses Mike Mickens. He saw what he needed to see. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Jalen Sneed played last week. He was on the sideline. Matter of fact, he was on the field for one of the sacks. I think it was the fourth quarter sack. He was on the field. But you know how it is, bro.
Crazy.
No, Josh is cool. I was just thinking, I had to think about it. Like, yo, man, I know he played, but I was trying to think of an actual play where I knew for sure, like, yeah, you can go to that play. But yeah, left. That is that's why I stand with it, man. I think it's very interesting. But the 25 class actually is, I think the 25 class before the end of the year could approach double digits in commits in the 25 class.
Now, what does that do with the guys on the roster now? Are we still have layover from guys who had the extra year from COVID? We got some guys that are still here from the last couple of seasons trying to come back, or how do those numbers even out? Because don't they increase in scholarships after this next year?
Well, the 24 class is a little lighter than 23, if I'm not mistaken, but 23 ended up being lighter than they thought initially. So I expect the 25 and 26 classes to be some of the bigger classes that you might see, but some of the most impactful classes as well. Because like I said, I think going into January of 2024, it's conceivable that they could have 8 to 9 commits in the 25 class. And I think literally it could end up being Marcus Freeman's best class of his first three.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. They're really doing well at the safety position, the way they're recruiting these kids. So yes, yes. And that is very encouraging because that's been a problem area left, that safety position.
Yeah, but is it a problem? I mean, we've definitely covered it and filled that safety position greatly with a Xavier Watts and kind of just what we've been rotating in there. We've even had Clarence Lewis show some safety love, but it's becoming more of a for what Al Golden is doing on defense, more of the
Hmm.
playmaking position
Yes,
as opposed to it being just the foundational piece like how our corners play. I
right.
think the corners are more of the staple of the secondary where safeties have been more of the playmaking people for us. I've seen a lot of them involved in a lot of the action when it comes to turnovers or big plays. Like DJ Brown had been in a lot of big opportunities early on in the year at that
Yeah.
safety position to make game winning plays in a lot of cases. So maybe that be like our star position or something where you just getting just straight beast for that. Not so much of a safety specific. Maybe there's a different style of coaching we have to the safeties.
Yep. Lucky Lefty podcast. Left, I saw a list of players that might consider leaving Notre Dame. And that's because I don't know if you saw this news break. The East West Shrine and the Senior Bowl will now allow underclassmen to participate.
How does that work?
Well, they're trying to get some more bigger names, more attention, more eyes.
Wait a minute now. You supposed to let these seniors. This is about the seniors.
I agree. I agree. I agree. It is
Kind of
definitely
messed up.
it is definitely business and revenue being elevated over the integrity
Yeah,
of what the Senior Bowl. How are you saying this is the Senior Bowl, but you're allowing juniors to participate
exactly.
and
Exactly.
taking spots from seniors that really need that look?
That really need to look. That really. That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. If I mean, hey, you breaking once again. You breaking the natural order of things, and you messing the game up that way. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of like I'm calling San Diego State and Brady Hoke's the head coach. I think he does a terrific job every year of framing his team based on doing it for the seniors
Hmm.
and being a football player, being at that level, knowing how important it is being a senior. You know how it is for them guys. You want them guys to play good
Hmm.
and the team to be at its best during your senior year. So to see them get robbed of that almost is almost like lowering the number of the NBA age because I think that once they did that, they lowered the number for the NBA age. It wasn't cool to even be a 3-4 year basketball guy.
Hmm.
Like that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So
They viewed you as, man, why did it
what's
take you so
wrong with
long?
you?
What's wrong
Yeah,
with you? Right.
you undraftable after your first. So it's basketball thing that's why I think basketball has become ridiculous when
And
it comes.
then you get kids that really need to stay saying, I don't want to stay because I don't want people
Yeah,
starting to
you don't
have
want your
negative
value to
thoughts about
drop or
me.
you get hurt or
Exactly.
something crazy. Like
Exactly.
I just think it's just I don't know how you even what you do with that situation. Thank goodness football hasn't crossed over into that craziness, but it's getting to it. You got the transfer portal now,
Yeah.
and I
And the
think it's
transfer portal is crazy. You got kids jumping in the portal like already.
really
Yeah, some kid, a wide receiver from Boise State, was like, man, I'm in the portal.
already.
I'm like, the season's not even over.
Yeah, you got 3 good games left. Shoot, you can, but that's probably a guy that was starting. I would hope because that would be the only way I could see you leaving mid-season if you're starting and you're like, oh, this is trash or something, you know.
Hmm.
But if you're not playing and you're leaving before the season over, I don't know if you're gonna get picked up. I don't know how you're gonna get picked up. That's just oof, that's rough. But
Could you
yeah,
imagine right now if, and I'm just throwing this name out there, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying I have information. Can you imagine if Tobias was just like, yeah,
I
I'm in
mean
the
it would
portal?
make listen, it would make sense. We're not doing him justice. I think he would obviously you got that you're a starter, you're Notre Dame tagged, you're gonna get some love ASAP. ASAP. And the fact that you got all the talent and the measurables. It's just, we haven't fit you in the offense, but from a just standalone in a vacuum, just looking at you from a talent standpoint, oh, that's a grab. Everybody's looking like, what's wrong with you? Almost. So,
Yeah,
but then they'll look at Notre Dame and be like, well, they ain't had a quarterback since XYZ thousand year.
yeah.
So they'd be like, well, we'll take care of that.
See, like Jeff Fluke, this is really short sighted in my opinion. Like he says, if you need to go to a bowl to get looks, you shouldn't come out. Obviously, you don't know the life of a scout.
And
They
we're a team that
might
gets looks all year round. Like,
they
come on.
might get to see a certain player once, maybe twice, their entire time in college in person. Like watching film is one thing, but seeing guys in person, and when it's a reason why GMs and head coaches from NFL teams go to the Senior Bowl, left.
Oh
Like
yeah, I
if
know.
it wasn't valuable evaluation, they wouldn't go.
It's literally the biggest coaches venue every
Absolutely.
year is the Senior Bowl. Every coach you can imagine goes down there.
Absolutely. It's like people that try to minimize what's going on with Michigan. If Michigan didn't think it was an advantage that they could get from sending Connor Stallions everywhere, they wouldn't do it. Like what?
Oh, you said I thought he went on his own. You saying Michigan sent him?
No, dude. How is he going on his own, but he's standing next to Jim Harbaugh on the sideline?
No, I'm
So
saying he
so
funded
nobody.
he funded the I thought he funded the
Come
shit
on,
himself.
dude. Come
I
on.
don't know. I mean, they made it sound real interesting.
Come on. My point is, it's short sighted to say that when the Senior Bowl has a history of people that weren't considered second round picks when they got down there, and they had incredible weeks in front of GMs and head coaches, and they become late first round, second round picks, and become great or really good to great NFL players. I mean, it's a history of that for like 20 years, or as long as the Senior Bowl has been operating.
Yeah,
So
history. I
you
mean,
can't
players have
say
broke out because of Senior Bowl.
absolutely, because if seeing somebody as a scout once or twice, but then being able to spend an entire week watching them practice against
Interviews and
other great
everything.
players and interviewing them, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Like you said, it almost exceeds the combine
Oh, for sure, the season combine. For
to
sure.
GMs and coaches.
You got a whole week. I mean,
Yes.
if you haven't got an opportunity, you should go. Obviously, I went to the one in Alabama, the Reese one, the huge one, and I mean, it's like an incubator for scouts. Every GM is there. Every head coach stops through. They
Hmm.
have practices. They have padded practices. They have one-on-ones, and these are the best of the seniors. They have full team periods. They treat it
Hmm.
like you play for an NFL team. So if the Bears and the Rams are doing it, you're a Bear or Ram for that week.
Right. So
So you doing meetings and
it's the I think it's the you can't repeat. So if your coaching staff was there last year, you're not allowed back next year, right?
I see why because
So
it's
the
really a
Panthers, as it
USL.
sits right now, the Panthers and the Cardinals coaching staffs will be the two coaching staffs back, which
And I
means
and I can
Frank
see
Reich.
how it's a huge benefit because they
Yes,
literally get their hands on all the guys
yes,
that are coming out, and obviously everybody's scouting, but they get that extra advanced scouting
in their system.
in their system, and they get to vet basically all the guys
Yeah,
through their system and have a way better choice of picking somebody like the when the Lions did it,
yeah,
and when I was there when the Lions went, and most of the guys on the Lions now are
were there.
from that Senior Bowl experience, you know. So
And so their coach, who is their coach now, was there evaluating.
yeah,
Probably had like a 1-15, 2-14 record or whatever. But they got a chance to see guys up close and personal, interview them. This is a guy that can fit our culture. You can't get that watching film.
no,
And see, these might not necessarily be the guys that are the top 15 picks, but these are the guys
that'll
that
be
fill
the field week
the
15,
middle of, yes, the middle
week
of your roster.
13, yeah,
Yes.
be on the special teams everywhere, you know.
Yeah. As we get ready to go left, um, what's your three keys? You usually do three keys for the upcoming game. You give us three keys for the rest of this season.
Oh, three keys for the rest of the season is finding your X factor moving forward for next year. Finding the guy that is, when in doubt, you're going to. Who's our Marvin Harrison Jr., who's our Aldridge Estime, who's our slot guy that we're going to use in the next year that we're going to force feed the ball. You know, just finding those guys that are the bona fide X factors, not running back by committee, not receiver by committee. You want guys
Hmm.
that are the stars in those units. They need to be identified and they need to be catered to. And then you build off of that. I think a lot of times we get so used to thinking that we just got all the talent and we can just use them all, you know, succinctly. No, there's better guys than other guys, and that's how you recruit anyway. And the guys that are the better ones need to be the leader in the room to help, you know, bring along guys and make it more competitive so guys get better. If everybody's at the same, we don't know who's going to start, everybody's in the same boat kind of thing, then
Hmm.
it's hard for guys who are generally good guys, you know, to just s- step above the other, you know, if there's not a push. And so I think you look at a team like Colorado State, who I think has the best receiver group in
Bro,
America.
and it's undervalued and underrated.
I was
And
really going to call
they
them.
have big dudes. I'm talking about big receivers.
I was really going to call them the Afros this week. Shout out to Derek Mays and Lake Dawson for the reference because they truly do have a group that all of them are very good players. Obviously, they have Torrey Horton, who's their best one, but all of them look like Torrey Horton. That's the funny part. All of them look like the best receiver. We know who the best one is. He gets to, you
Yeah.
know, but all of them make plays like the best one, and
Hmm.
it's just a great streamline. And you know, it's feast or famine with their offense right now. They're trying to find a bigger, better running game. But from a Nicolosi, that quarterback, I mean, he's got everything at his fingertips with guys that can make plays. And it's funny that it's Colorado State, and why can't like I'm gonna ask him. I have a call with him today. How'd you go about recruiting your receivers? That's a because you guys got it down pat. They're all good, pretty good route runners. They're different, but they all make plays and they know how to get themselves involved in the game. Maybe it's their offense, but still, I think it's important um, for us to identify the X factor on both sides of the football. I think Xavier Watts come back. He needs to be the X factor with Ben Morrison defensively. And then offensively, it's got to be a receiver or a running back. Jeremiah Love is my X factor for next year, but we need to have a receiver that's an X factor that we can all, you know, lead off of, help the quarterback out.
Yeah.
Second key to the game, you know, we're one of two teams in college football on special teams to have a touchdown and a punt return touchdown, a kick return touchdown, uh, two two fumble return touchdowns, and another. It's a pretty cool stat. So we've been active special teams wise. But the second key will be finishing scoring points over 35 plus. We need to get back on our average. And having that average going into the end of the year will set a good precedent for not only recruiting, but a good basis of what works. I think you don't want to go into the spring or the summer next year trying to find things that work. You want to have something that you're rolling with coming
Yeah.
out of the spring. I mean, coming out of the season that you can feel you can pick up on and add to. I thought it was just such a disadvantage. The year before, Tyler does a lot of good things in that bowl game, and it all goes to waste because we bring in a whole nother guy, do a whole nother thing, and then the coach leaves. So we didn't get to take the fruits and benefits of that bowl game into the next year because we basically scrapped everything, which is you going into a restart. So this is really Marcus Freeman's it's this third year, but it really feels like his second year that he has some consistency in some point. I think he'll have some more changes that'll happen, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, unfortunately. But hopefully he gets a stable system going to where he can build off of, and that's how you get better year to year. I think when you put so much into that off season and that end of year last year and then having to build in pieces, it doesn't help to start the next year the way you want to. And so hopefully we're not having to go through this whole quarterback carousel thing. Heck, if Shador is staying, maybe we can try to poach him from Colorado. He give at least we give him an O line. Hey Shador, the one thing we can promise you, we'll give you an O line. Heck, everybody's transferring anyway. We can get you some receivers if you don't like these. We can make Notre Dame happen.
Yeah.
But the third key, I would say, is uh is for Marcus Freeman to finish recruiting the right way. You know, find a way to still actively seal some of these recruits in before the end of the year. That way, your spring schedule's a little lighter, so you can focus on retention and development, R&D,
Yeah.
retention and development. That's what we need to go into a serious deep dive into in the spring is research and development, retention and development. How we keep guys, how do we get guys better? So identifying the quarterback, I think that's just an obvious thing that we need to do. And it doesn't change. I think these last four games, you need to see if you keep it Steve or not. Period.
Yeah.
And how good and how close can you get Minchie ready to play by the end of the game? I mean, by the end of the bowl game. Bowl game, Minchie should be. If
Hmm.
something happened, he should be ready to go operate.
Yeah.
If not, splitting time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we should continue to wait any longer on letting guys just sit on the shelf for a year and fake learn and fake get better and fake mental reps and fake no. This is 2023. You in college on the collegiate level at this height, ain't no more sitting on the shelf. We got to throw you out there because everything's moving fast and we didn't know we moving on.
Lucky Lefty podcast. Yo, that's our show this morning. We'll tap in. Left once again, CBS Sports Network, Colorado State, San Diego State, at Colorado State. Check them out. And then either later tonight or tomorrow, we'll have another podcast for you since there is no game. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day and make sure that you spend it different.